This is Ryan McKinnell sitting down with, I'm going to introduce you as the Pride middleweight champ, or your welterweight champ. So Pride welterweight champ, Dan Henderson. How you doing today, Dan?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. So you got the matchup of the century, I'm going to call it. I mean, being an old fan of Pride and an old fan of the UFC, it's kind of cool to see this style matchup come in with you and Anderson. How do you feel about Anderson coming in Saturday?
I feel good.
Yeah.
Training camp went well. I feel like my game plan's going to be what it takes to beat him. And style-wise, I feel very comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Me and my buddies were kind of talking about the whole clinch game and your Greco background. That is kind of, that whole clinch game is going to be a real interesting. I think that's the story of the match. Is that kind of how you feel it's going to be playing out?
I feel that it's just a matter of who implements their clinch on
Right.
the other guy, and I wouldn't own a company like Clinch Gear if I wasn't good in the clinch.
Right. We'll give a plug out to Clinch Gear. You just got that started, didn't you? Recently?
About last April.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Almost a year.
Yeah. How's that been going for you? You like
It's been going real well.
you like being the businessman, Dan Henderson, too?
Yeah, I got a good guy running the company for me, so I don't have to be too hands-on, but
Focus on training more.
I'm hands-on with the development when we do new shorts and stuff like that.
Cool. So I got to ask you about this. This is going to be just purely a fan question. The Dream company, the former people at Dream Stage Entertainment. A lot of those guys that are going to be coming to this lightweight tournament are all some of your former competitors or people that you fought against. How do you miss Japan at all? Or are you going to be watching that as a fan? How do you feel about that going on?
Definitely going to be watching it as a fan.
Yeah.
I miss fighting in Japan.
Yeah.
I think the fans were. It's a different type of fan, but
Yeah.
they're very respectful, and I enjoyed fighting over there. Ideally, I'd like to fight over there like once a year. So, I wish the UFC would get over there.
You think that's going to be in the cards? You think we can work that out?
I don't know. I know that they're really expanding internationally right now in the UK and in Canada pretty quick here, and I think their next move might be Mexico after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of like the growth of mixed martial arts. I mean, you fought in the UFC back in the early days in some of the tournaments and some of the earlier stuff, and now you come back and your first fight's against Quentin in the headliner on free TV. I mean, it's like coming into a whole new world in America, isn't it, almost? I mean,
a little bit. I mean, I headlined the last Pride show in the U.S.
Right,
so
with Vanderlei.
It was very similar to that.
Yeah.
Very similar to that.
But that's that whole ring deal and the cage deal, and also the people at that show were the real hardcore fans. You know what I mean? It wasn't. You're definitely. What I'm saying is you're definitely opening yourself up to a whole new audience as far as the demographic goes.
Right. Absolutely.
Do you feel any extra pressure with that headlining? Against Anderson, especially with that pound for pound, title he's kind of getting going into that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I just need to go out there and fight my fight.
Yeah, for sure. You had said you kind of dropped down to 185, again, coming back to 185 because the UFC kind of needed you. Do you see a future in the 185 division, especially if you beat Anderson?
I haven't looked past this fight. I don't have any plans of going anywhere, and I don't know what weight class I'll be at, but I'm sure it'll probably be at 185 for a while.
So you kind of just
defending a title.
There you go. That's a good attitude, So needless to say, that's what the future holds for Dan Henderson. It's got to be pretty cool. There's a big difference between the Las Vegas crowd, the California crowd, and the Ohio crowd. There's going to be 19,000 screaming Midwestern fans. And you were talking about the Pride fans, the difference, in the humbleness and the quiet, the attitude. What do you? I mean, they both have their pros and cons, but what do you personally like more?
I really couldn't give you an answer.
Do you
I really like both. I mean, the Japanese fans really understood the sport a little bit more, all the grappling.
Yeah.
And they all gave off an ooh and an awe at the same time. So
when it mattered.
It was just different.
Right.
It's it was less screaming the whole time, less booing, but
and less beer dropping on your head as you enter.
Right. But I also enjoy the craziness of the U.S. crowds and how vocal they are, and I'm excited to feel that energy here. And I think this will probably be very similar to how London was. It was pretty crazy.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. You got, obviously, you are the leader. You're the Batman to Team Quest, I guess, if you want to call it that way, you and Mr. Lindland. When you look at camps around the United States, and maybe, around the world, you got Extreme Couture, a.k.a. American Top Team, Team Quest. Where do you think Team Quest lines up with those whole list of camps?
we're pretty close at the top.
Yeah.
You know, especially we'll be a little bit more high ranked after this fight.
Yeah.
But we're right up there. We got a lot of top guys, a lot of up and comers. So
Who are some of the guys we should keep an eye out for? And definitely not anyone we've heard of. Who are some guys that are just coming up that you really have a good feeling about?
Well, I don't know. Another guy on my card, Chris Wilson's fighting.
A former IFL vet.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's our Team Quest guy. So,
how do you think he's going to do against Fitch? Fitch is a tough matchup, and
matchup.
he's a wrestling brethren of yours, Fitch, being from Purdue.
I think it's going to be an interesting fight. It's just a matter of certain things. I don't want to say too much now, but I think
fair enough.
Chris he's right over there. He's got some great submissions as well. So if Fish takes him down, he's not going to be walked through on the ground as well. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, and then we got Sokaju. I think you had a little bit of an influence in getting him over here and finally getting to be able to fight in the States. I know people were excited. He lost his last fight against Machida. Now he's going to be fighting Nakamura at the May card. How do you feel? I mean, you saw Nakamura fight a lot over in Pride. How do you think that matchup? Yeah. Exactly. You have experience, so how do you feel that's going to play out?
I feel that Sokaju's judo is better than Nakamura, and his striking is much cleaner, and his conditioning.
For sure.
So he should beat him. It's just a matter of making sure his mind is right for this fight. His mind wasn't there in the last fight.
I think the Predator mask had anything to do? No, I'm just kidding.
It could have.
Yeah, he didn't. I agree with you. He didn't look the same.
On the fight.
Yeah. What do you think it was? Did you get any?
I think now he had something to lose, and the pressure might have got to him.
You think those UFC jitters?
It's just a matter of settling down and going out there and fighting.
You talk about settling down. I imagine it's kind of hard when they close a cage door behind you and you've been fighting in a ring. Is there a different psychological deal when you fight in a cage and in a ring? Does that play into it?
No.
No?
No.
But for skill-wise, it does.
You got the same guy across from you.
Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking maybe like psychological, just being in a cage, just like two guys.
No.
But I mean, you definitely have the clinch game and the elbows. That's different. And
right.
Machida was a tough matchup for him. Machida's that master game planner.
It was. He definitely did a good job. But I know that Sokaju is much more talented than he showed.
Right. Well, on that note, man, I just want to thank you for sitting down. I know you're busy, especially here with these open workouts, talking to hundreds of people. Is there anything you want to say to your fans and sponsors before we get out of here?
No, just check out clinchgear.com and enjoy the fight.
All right, Dan.